speaker this morning is, of course, Sheriff Steve Hall. He will be talking to you about all kinds of things, St. Mary's County and beyond, and about the Sheriff's Office. At this juncture, I will hand off the microphone and welcome you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. How is everybody?
Now, the new project going in front of me, there's 4 entrances coming off here. When you leave out of here, go down this road. When you get to Frito-Lay, just stop and look straight ahead. It's a drag strip. Now, if there's an accident over there, they all come down this road. It's 40 until you get to the Veterans Home, and it's 30. Okay, it needs to be dropped because now we just dropped it to 45 on the main road. So you know what they're going to do to miss the 45 and the chance of a ticket and all the lights? They're going to come down this road. One day, not long ago, there was an accident, and I just happened to be going out of my driveway, and that new shopping center is right directly in front of me. I sat there for 15 minutes before I could even get out because it was just boom, 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 boom. So all I'm asking is, could you send somebody out? If you sit down Frito-Lay, you could write tickets all day. If we could just monitor this, because what I'm reading in the articles, people complaining as far as that speed, it should have been dropped a long time ago. But is it going to work if you don't monitor it? And I don't know, maybe we don't have enough sheriffs to do all this work?
So, back to the speed limit. In my professional and personal opinion, I think limit now is option. That people think that it's optional. Dropping that speed limit to 45, to me, I don't think it made any difference at all. The speed limit, the law that is put in place is only as good as the people that are willing to follow it. It's as simple as that. There are not enough deputies. There are not enough troopers. To be able to, this is one stretch. The one thing, no matter what is going on in this county, and there's a lot going on every day, it would blow your minds because you read about 1/8 of what's actually happening. The majority of the people have one concern. Every meeting I go to, no matter where it is in the county, they have one concern, and it always starts and ends with traffic. You touched on the problem from the very beginning. My mom passed recently, and I've been going through a lot of old things of hers, and I was telling somebody earlier, I found newspaper clippings that she or somebody she knew was in. One of them was from the 1950s, and it had a picture of the plaza there that they're going to put the Royal Farms in right across from the base main gate. And the article says, new construction brings infrastructure problem. Too much traffic. This is in the 50s. The next one was a big enterprise from '62. All over the cover. It was unbelievable. 2 people sentenced for bootlegging by the federal government. Man gets sentenced for assaulting wife with axe. 34 serious accidents and a fatality in 1 month in June on our roadways. It's the infrastructure problem has never been addressed. The main thoroughfare that we have in this county from south to north is a little thing called 3-Notch Road. When you get to where most of the people are in this county, which is Hollywood South, you drive it all the time. What is the main infrastructure flaw with 235? Anybody? Anybody, as you drive it. And it's very noticeable for a major thoroughfare. There's no shoulders.
Hello.
There are no shoulders on the main thoroughfare in the county. And people say, why don't you do something about traffic on 235? You know what? For a deputy sheriff to stop somebody safely when there's no place to pull them over. You pull somebody over, you're putting the violator's life in danger and the deputies. And then you add all the distractions, the music, the cell phones, the Bluetooth or the Blue Goose or whatever. So that's, well, there's TVs and everything else in there. So the infrastructure has never been, we are populating this county faster than the infrastructure is ever going to catch up. And I'm telling you this, 4 years from now, you will not recognize this part of the county. It's going to get built up like, and I called it. You're already seeing the criminal activity and the problems that come with that. It's moving from Lexington Park into Leonardtown and Hollywood. It's going to continue north because where the people go, the problems go.
No people, no crime.
So that's the infrastructure thing. I think they're going to try to work on that. I think the speed limit thing is a good idea to slow people down, but the speed limit is only as good as the people that are willing to follow it. I heard somebody over here say, put one of those speed. We're going to put speed cameras in the school zones. We're going to do that. It's going to happen. Hell or high water, it's going to happen. Now that, and there's a lot of places along that road that will be beneficial, but it's simply to try to slow people down in the areas where there's a lot of congestion and kids.
I always told my wife, in the event that she gets pulled over by a police officer on 235 because there's no shoulder, to slow down, put her flashers on, and pull into a driveway or the next intersection as appropriate. Is that conducive to
Absolutely.
the safety of an officer and herself?
That's what we are hoping that people do. Here's the problem when you see emergency lights. And I think that the most dangerous thing any law enforcement officer does, especially in that area, is try to run what we call code, lights and sirens. It's the most dangerous thing you do because of how often you have to do it. And the speed with which, based on the call and the emergency, you will have to go potentially 80 miles an hour to get there if there's somebody in serious danger because of the way that people react. All of us were trained. What are you supposed to do when you see an emergency vehicle? Anybody? What way? What?
Right.
Pull to the right and stop.
But they don't, they go to the left.
Some go to the left, some go to the right. Some people stop right in the middle of the road.
Right.
So it is one of the most dangerous things you do because of how often you do it. And it's, Barbara, you can sit right here.
Well, I have a question.
Sir,
Now, we hear about, I don't think I need it, but we hear about ICE coming in to get the illegals. Is this county going to help them if they come to get some of these criminals?
if there is an ICE detainer right now, and one of the commissioners made some comments about that, and he probably should have had a conversation with me before he made his comments, because he didn't understand. But if there is an ICE detainer, if they want somebody, we will hold them if we have them, but only for a certain period of time, because the ICE detainer, a lot of people, this is a long conversation, but getting right to the point, an ICE detainer currently is not signed by a magistrate or a judge. So for us, you cannot hold somebody unless a judge says, grab them and keep them. So if they need to change how they do their detainers, for one, they need to have a judge issue the warrant to hold on to them, and then we've always done that. We give them about a 12 to 24 hour period of time to come and get them, but they have to come and respond, because when they're in our facility or in our custody, I am responsible for them. Ma'am.
To stay on that immigration, illegal status of immigration, in your estimate, how many illegal aliens do we have in the county?
Aliens.
Aliens. They are aliens.
Have no earthly idea. None. I have no idea.
You don't know if it's
I know
50
that
or 2,000.
I know that the Hispanic population has skyrocketed in the last 10 or 15 years.
Where are these people staying now? Where are they?
Everywhere.
I think a variety of places.
No, they're not everywhere. They're not in my house. I don't know that they're in Chaptico. I haven't seen too many of them around Chaptico. But I would assume that they're around California, Lexington Park, Great Mills area, would they be more of a migrated amount of people down that way? Or
it depends
do
on.
they have housing, or are they staying in the woods, or where are these people?
There is some housing, and there is one development where, in Lexington Park in particular, where there is a large Hispanic population living that is going to eventually be turned into residential housing. Did you see all those, the public hearing, the public outcry about what are we supposed to do with these people, where are they going to go? If you look at the work that's being done in this county, it's a roof, it's a road, it's kitchen, who's doing the work when you look out there?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I think, based on your question, is I don't know how many. There are large Hispanic communities here, but they're going to go where the work and opportunities are. Because I do think a lot of people come here to try to make a better life for themselves and others.
Absolutely, and
I
I
don't
agree
know.
with that 100%. But they just, our country has failed to make that vetting system correct. Absolutely. It's
Yep.
not the people's fault that
Yep.
won't get in here.
Yep.
It's the people that are here that don't make it correct for them to be able to get in here.
Right.
That's,
I completely agree. That goes with that huge moat. That's going to be a heck of a process to have to go through.
right.
Sir?
Now, up there behind Food Line, the White Drive, is supposed to put in 150 dwellings and then 78 townhouses. Where are they gonna go? I mean, there'll be a backup there. I mean, that's why they put the darn water tower in, because they got the infrastructure already there.
Well, wait till the Wawa goes in across from here.
Wawa,
Yeah,
where's the Wawa?
going right across from our District 1 station.
I thought that was Sheets.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Same difference. It's all the same to me. They come with the same problems. At the end of the night, people go in there after the bars close, and there's 150 people in the parking lot, and they call us, lock the doors, and wait for us to get there. I mean, it's the accidents, people, the ingress, egress.
Yeah, I tell you, it ain't no way that they can handle that much, because when you get that many, you got the schools are already filled up. The roads are already jammed up already.
Right? Just like this young lady was talking about infrastructure.
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what your recruiting looks like? We had heard that there
Huh.
was a little bit.
All right, a bright spot, perhaps. So, has anybody seen the new recruitment video that we did? It was a labor of love. We are doing everything possible to bring people into this county to work for you. To that extent and to that end, we flew a banner pulled behind a plane in Ocean City all summer long, because we knew there'd be about 500,000 people at any given time on that boardwalk, and it worked. Currently, right now, we have 20 vacancies for deputy sheriff, or 19, and 20 for correctional officer. That's a lot. Now, one of the main construction projects, we added a wing to our detention facility, and with that wing and that construction, 20 additional pins or positions were added. So we've never really gained anything. We got that 20 deficit the day that building was built. I have the largest potential correctional officer class lined up to go to the academy in January that we have ever had in the history of the Office of the Sheriff. It could be as many as 13. That will change everything for the detention staff. And I'm telling you right now, has anybody ever been through the jail on a tour? It is miraculous what happens in that building every day. It's the most misunderstood and what most people don't understand about the constitutional mandate that's given to me as sheriff. I'm responsible for every soul in that building, morning, noon, and night, and they live there. That's where they are. And I am mandated to care for them, to keep them safe, to keep them secure. And that is where criminal justice actually happens. That's where the justice is exacted. You know, you can lock them up, you can charge them, but no one serves any justice. Justice is never served until they're actually in the detention center. So what those people do, and I've got 18-year-olds in there, and there's some Hannibal Lecters in there, but so we are paying them what they're worth, finally. Our county commissioners, they have supported the Office of the Sheriff. I can't say anything negative about how they've supported our budget, because they have 2 years in a row. Another budget year. I just had my first budget meeting yesterday, so the fun will begin again. But they have supported that, and our correctional officers are making very good money as young people. it changes their entire lives, along with the deputy sheriffs. The deputy sheriffs, I have 7 in the academy that will graduate on the 20th of December, and then an additional 7, I'm hoping, will go in on December the 6th. So people are coming in the door like never before. They have to meet a very, very high standard. It's very difficult to get a job. It's the crucible. I mean, we do more than most people have to do for a top secret clearance. So if they don't cut the mustard, they got to go. I will not lower the standards in this county while I'm the sheriff. I will not do it. So because that only creates more problems. But recruitment is doing very, very well. Retention is where that's where the real meat of the problem is. You got to keep them because it's a very, very difficult job. What it makes it better for our people, in my opinion, is all of you, because we have a very supportive community in this county. That makes it a good place to work.
Do you have the budget to hire the 20 new recruits?
It's budgeted.
Oh, wow.
Here's and I don't want to get way down in the weeds, but here's the thing that we always guard against. Because you have vacancies and vacant positions that are difficult to fill, they always look at the money that they've budgeted for that is a recurring vacancy, and they're like, well, we're always ready for them to come for those positions. But the way that we're filling them right now, I think that would be a very unwise thing for them to do, to come and sweep that money and say, well, come back to us if you can fill them. So, but it's budgeted, the money's there.
Oh, great. Has the attitude changed for people that don't want to work? Because it seems like there's still a lot of vacancies in doctors' offices and everywhere. Is that attitude changing?
I think there's going to be a shift in a lot of things in this country and in this county. But personally, for me, we've got incredible young people that are willing to work, willing to do the hard work. I'm very fortunate because I think we get to work with the best, because it's a very difficult job and it demands a lot of you. So what I've seen is young people that are willing to put themselves out there and sacrifice for the benefit of other people. So I think we're in good hands, and I don't worry much because there's some amazing kids out there. So, and I've said it 1,000 times. It all starts in the living room. Yeah. That's where it starts. So parents that want to be parents, kids that want to do the right thing, I think we're in good hands.
That is so good to hear.
Yeah. I'm gonna get this one in the back.
Thanks. First off, thank you and your staff for all you do for the community.
You're well worth it.
I wonder if you could speak to currently if there's any predominant scams going on that we as elderly should be paying attention to or not clicking on or whatever.
I'm going to give you, and I'm so glad you asked that because it probably would have slipped my mind. I've been married now. I just celebrated my 20th year anniversary. Been together for 24. And she didn't decide to put her name in everybody's front yard. So I have to do what I have to do to make the missus happy, because that's what you have to do. She's responsible for the she made. We were on travel, and I don't know how they knew, but they called her phone as we were going through immigration. And they said, "This is the Cedar Point Federal Credit Union. We have an unusual charge on your account, $600 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Was that you? Did you make the purchase?" And she says, "Absolutely not. That is a fraudulent, that's not ours." "Okay, I need you to take down this number. We're going to call you back and help you through this." Took the number down. The number came in as Cedar Point Federal Credit Union. So the number was spoofed.
I used to be a security officer at a bank. So.
This one was good because the timing of it, we're wiped out. she's cranky. I'm trying to stay away from her so I am safe. And so she called back the next day and they said, okay, we're in. They asked for the code that they had given her the day before. And they said, okay, that's been verified. We just need your password and they didn't want they said we need your login. And thankfully, my wife is very, very sharp. And she's like, if you're already in and you can see that, why would you need our login? And there was a pause. And she knew at that point that it was a scam. I hate to admit it. If that had been me, I don't know. But they are the effort that scammers will go to get your money, your hard-earned money, is unbelievable. They will do research. They will look at your social media accounts. They will see what kind of grandchildren you have, male, female, approximate age. They will find people, train them, try to get them to sound like them, call and say there's been an accident, I'm in jail, I need bail money, I need bond money. Anytime someone calls you and money is an immediate thing, or they ask for personal information, do not proceed, period. No one calls you typically. You would call the bank when you see a transaction that's not right, typically. It doesn't work the other way around because there's not enough people working in the banks. But so that is the newest one that I've seen. But as tax year comes around, be vigilant. You know, especially March and April, that's when the tax man will not call you and say, I'm coming, you need to pay this. It's not how it works. Sheriff's offices, I've had people call and say that it's Sheriff Steve Hall and you have a warrant for your, people have called me and said, is this real? There's enough video of me talking that they have cloned my voice and they use it's my voice saying, you have a warrant for your arrest, you know, please send this money and it'll keep it at bay and that will serve as half of your bond. They will do anything they can. Money, sheriff's offices and law enforcement agencies do not call you before you're locked up. Can anybody guess why that is? That's not the way we do business. We'll do it for subpoenas and things like that, but nothing else. So that's the newest scam, and I was particularly affected by that. So that was scary. Spoofed numbers, always be suspicious. Let them, if you don't recognize it, let them leave a message.
Deputy Elin lives in my neighborhood, and he's very good about attending these little gatherings, you know, that we have, and his car is visible, and people know that he is there in the community. And I think it really makes a difference on our street.
I think the thing that separates St. Mary's County, and there are other places, but separates St. Mary's County from other places, is our deputies live in this community. They will see you at functions. They'll be in the bread aisle with you. And that makes a better police officer because it makes a better public servant because they're your neighbor. Did you notice anything about his car recently?
It's all shiny.
I gave him a new car recently. And I gave it to him personally because that deputy, no matter what, always has a positive attitude. It's one of the things that doesn't show up on a performance evaluation. Do you know what I mean? But I've seen it. People have told me about it. So he got a brand new car. I felt like Oprah Winfrey. You get a car. So, but that's, yeah, we're very, very lucky to have him.
I got an email just last week, and it was so frightening and scary that it said in this email that I'm watching you, I know your computer, I know your login information, I am watching you. It was so scary. I thought I saved it and I was going to bring it, but it deleted somehow, but I didn't push on anything, so I know to do that.
Right.
But my question is, can you do anything about these scams or calls or?
It's very difficult for us to do anything because the majority of them are coming from either out of the country or out of the state. The New York area, New Jersey, Those places are predominantly where they come from, but a lot of them are coming from overseas. But what did you do when you got the email?
I read it.
Right?
I showed my husband, I said, look, it says it's watching us. It says it knows, when we're online. I mean, it was threatening. It says, I saw what you did, and oh my God, I was shaken,
Yep.
literally shaken. What I did was, I put it in my trash. I was gonna make a copy of it and show, bring it to whoever. I didn't know where to report it. But I went back to look today to see if it was there, and it was gone. And it was just from a one person name,
Right.
Keenan
Right.
was the name. And it just, it was frightening. It was so, I was literally shaking. It was so scary.
I had 2 other people call around the same time, call me and say, is this real? Should I be concerned about this? One of them was a member of the clergy, and I have access to this. I know what you've been looking at online.
Yes.
And he was like, I didn't know what to do. But the one thing that most people don't do is call. And what we don't know, we don't know. So I would always encourage you to call us so that because what happens is right after that happened with me, this young lady here, Elisa Cassis, is the one that tells our story. If you haven't seen the weekly videos that she does and the way that we're putting our press releases out, it's her ideas. She's the brain behind it. It's revolutionizing what we do and how we tell our story, but I go right to her. When somebody tells me, when I hear about it, we put it out on all of our social media platforms.
She's part of your department?
Absolutely, she is my right hand.
Okay.
So that's what, if you don't call, we don't know, and we can't let you know the new thing that's happening. So that's what we did. We put it out. Facebook, X, Z, whatever the platforms are. We put it out so people, oh yeah.
It scared me.
It's effective. It's effective.
It is.
They've done their research and they know what they're doing, ma'am.
I just have this one question. This came up before when you were here. Is it still the case that when people come in to apply for a job as sheriff, they get their training here, and once they get their training, they go to Charles County because they make more money? Is that still happening?
It has happened.
How's the pay equivalent?
They're about 4 or 5% more, but and all you can do when somebody does that is thank them for wanting to do it and wish them the best of luck. It doesn't happen that often, but a lot of people that are living there eventually will say, it's better off.
What's your retention with
The retention is good, but we've had deputy sheriffs go to Calvert. We've had them go to Charles, federal agencies, either for money or for convenience, or we just had a deputy go because he's got a sick child, and the place for the condition is where he's from. So all you can do is say, thanks for being here, thanks for serving, and all the best, and the door's always open. But they don't get paid, in my opinion, and I love Troy Berry to death, and I got a lot of friends up there, but there is no way in the world I would work in Charles County. No way. You think it's bad here? Right, but they're not that much. They don't, and our retirement and our medical is 10 times what theirs is.
So
that's what the young,
now then.
oh, it's very competitive, but that's what the young people don't think about. They don't think about the retirement. They don't think about the medical. We pay 15% of our medical costs. The county pays 85%. Best in the state. You don't think about it until you start having babies, till you start getting a little older, and you start having issues and medications and stuff. So those are the things that we try to educate these kids about early on. It's very difficult because when you're young, you're not thinking about that. But we do have people leave, but the majority of people stay because it's such a great place to work. But yeah, it does happen. So all I try to ask the commissioners is I don't want to be ahead of the pack. Don't put me out front. I just want to be competitive. Keep me running with the rest of them. Keep me competitive and keep our benefits better.
Maybe they should have some kind of requirement. If you want to work in the county, you got to live in the county.
That doesn't work, and we would lose a whole lot of people if we did that. Oh, indeed.
Because property taxes in Charles County is double what they
Ma'am,
are here.
they can't buy a house here. The
Where are they
prices
buying it at?
they go to Calvert, I've got people as far away as PG County.
Are you kidding me? The property taxes is double on those other counties as compared to here.
Try renting a house here.
Well, there's no
Two or
rentals, we all know
No
that.
rentals, and it's outrageous what they're getting $2,200 or $2,300 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's we can pay them a lot of money, but that's going to put a dent in it.
I don't see how they're living cheaper in Calvert and Charles other than rentals.
Well, there's more rentals available, and Charles County, has anybody been on Billingsley Road recently? They're putting thousands of units up there, thousands. So but they'll live there on the cheap, but they'll come and work here because they choose to make their living here. So we'll take it. We'll never go back to living in the county again, never again.
Interesting.
But that's why the cities have so many problems too.
You know, I have one friend that I've had all my life.
Lucky man.
Yeah, he was in the service with me and all, but I got an email from him, used his name, says he needs help. And so I didn't open it up. I got on the phone and called him. And that was a scam. I mean, they'll use people's names that you know.
Sure.
Your mother.
Yeah.
I'd never have that happen.
Yeah, has anybody had somebody call and say, Grandma, Meemaw, I'm in trouble, I've been locked up? I mean, it's amazing. They've done their research. They know that but they sell our personal information, so it's not difficult.
But I tell them, I said, well, at least you got 3 meals and a cot.
Yeah, call me when you're out. Let me know when I can pick you up. Right. Other than that, there's been we have done a huge upgrade on our RMS system, which is a records management system. That's where all the reporting information goes. And our CAD has been redone. We've gone to a new vendor. Basically it revolutionizes everything from the time that the call comes in to how the report is done, how it's tracked, the statistical information that we can pull out of it. We had an old system for the last 20 years, so it was a huge undertaking. Staff did an incredible job. That's been done. We're looking at computer-aided dispatch.
Okay.
So all of the information that comes in that we use to be able to say, where do we need the resources, where are the problems, how do we deploy them effectively in the times that they're needed, this system is going to revolutionize that. Huge undertaking. That's been done. It was a lot smoother than we anticipated. We do have a bunch of fleet cars coming in that were, because of the demand and because of COVID and the supply chain, that was real. We were backlogged about 1.5 years, so they're coming in. And the young people really seem to like the new package and the new cars because that's their office. The detention center renovation is nearly complete. Once again, if you want to be part of our Citizens Academy and you want a tour, I would highly encourage that because I think it would surprise you what goes on every day and the things that we're trying to do to keep people out of jail. That's been done, and our headquarters and support services building is on track. I'm told by the commissioners that is going to be funded and on track, and that is going to change everything. It should be the jewel in the crown of the county when that's done.
What's the Citizens Academy?
It's a
Our Citizens Academy is an 8-week session that begins in the fall. We just had our graduation. You can register for it again beginning in July. It's on our website. And you visit the different district stations, District 1, 3, 4, and headquarters. You get to tour the detention center. You get to see the courthouse. It's usually, I believe, on Tuesday evenings for about 3 hours. We provide snacks, and some nights we provide dinners. It's just really a wonderful opportunity to see the actual operations of the sheriff's office. You can see what the deputies do. You can see what our correctional officers do. You can see what our professional staff does. See our facilities. Understand how law enforcement interacts with the community. Understand how law enforcement interacts with criminals, and really just get such a more clear picture of how the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office responds when you need us, what we do proactively, and as Sheriff mentioned, the things that we do to keep people out of the system and out of jail. So it's a wonderful experience. As I said, I believe it's about 8 weeks long. Registration starts every July. We keep the class size down so that people have an opportunity really to engage one-on-one in each of the nights of the academy. So next registration will be next July.
It's a great experience, and you really do get a real cross-sectional view, an intimate view of what it is that we do and how we do it. Yeah, I would encourage you to do it if you haven't. Ma'am?
I'm going to go back, I know she started, who would you suggest if the speed limit change out here on 235 right in this Charlotte Hall section or Mechanicsville, it happened? I know T-Bone and Heather spent a whole morning talking about it because they were confused. Where does it start? Where does it stop? When did they change it? How do you know? I don't think there are enough signs. I don't understand why the speed limit is 45 from, you know, at this area up here all the way right before the elementary school and it goes to 55. Right before it, if you're traveling south. And I'm like, how stupid is that?
Well, and you know, here's the interesting thing, because I tend to get the blame for everything that happens. No, people actually think that I had something to do with that, so it's easier to write tickets. I mean, we're busy, but I'm not looking for that kind of work. But, and you know, I think it should have been done a long time ago. I think speed limits need to be more consistent in a particular area. I'm not a big fan of 30, 45, 55, 30, 40, unless there's housing and a school that makes that an appropriate thing to do. As far as the engineering and the ideas behind it, I was not invited to the table, nor was I asked. So
Crazy, I mean,
yeah.
very confused.
Right. And I was talking to a young lady here at the table earlier, and she said, well, now that it's been lowered, when the hell are you going to enforce it? You know, I heard there was going to be an educational piece. I am a big believer in that if you have a red light that's been put in, if you have speed limit changes, if you're doing anything, we have a responsibility to say, hey, be careful, wear your seatbelt, drive the speed limit. I don't think that every time you pull someone over, it's deserving of a citation. I can think of multiple times where people are trying to get to a loved one, late for church, going to work in the middle of the night to be a nurse or a doctor. So there are instances where that happens, and there is an educational component, but tickets are the only thing that changes drivers' behavior. So that's going to be it's going to be a target-rich environment because no one's going 45. I sat on the side of the road this morning and watched it just to observe. Once again, the speed limit, I think that limit part people think is an option. So that's where we come in. And you'll see us up there because I know the complaints are going to come in. I know it. So they changed the thing, more work for us. I just wish I would have been asked because it directly affects our staff. So.
When that new shopping center opens with 4 entrances off of this road here, you better be prepared.
I've tried to tell people it's coming. The housing, the businesses, this place has been ripe for development for years, and it's only a matter of time before people realize what the earn potential is, and they're going to start building.
You talked about no place to pull over. Look at that in front of this new shopping center. Now, here's a question that you can't answer, but the new Royal Farms on Charlotte Hall Road has a sidewalk. This new shopping center in front of me, there ain't no sidewalk. How do they get away with that? And you can't pull off.
Meet me after. I'm gonna give you somebody's number, and I'm gonna love it because everybody's giving people mine.
Oh, I know.
What about you, sir? You got anything? You got a question or anything on your mind?
What about the medical marijuana?
Say that again.
Medical marijuana.
Oh, well, we're far beyond medical marijuana. It's legal now. It's legal now. So here's the thing that I said when I was part of meetings, and when the legislation passed, I was asked to go and sit on a panel discussion. This is my feeling on that. Do I think that there is a medical purpose for people that are ill where medicinal marijuana is the only way that a cancer patient can maintain an appetite? Yes. Do I think that, so there is a medical pure use for that. Recreational, completely different story. Because just like alcohol, you have to be 21 to possess marijuana right now. How many kids do you think are using it that are not 21? The thing that scares me is the level of potency that you have now, the way that it affects the mind, reproductive development, things that haven't even been studied. That concerns me greatly because, as you all know, brain development from 18 to 27 is a critical period of time. That's where we're hoping that they learn responsibility, self-reliance, all the things that are going to keep you going. And when you start having children and now people are depending on you, it scares me to death. And the tip of the iceberg is the introduction of fentanyl into this community. Because I am telling you, fentanyl is in everything. It's in everything. You cannot recreationally use drugs and be safe any longer, period. And the fentanyl, a couple of drops can kill you. And I have been in houses where there have been young people that have made mistakes and they were simply recreationally using or taking something that they thought was something else. And there was fentanyl in it and they're dead and gone and didn't even, simply by mistake or accidental. That's a hard thing to look at a parent and deal with. That's a hard thing to deal with. So that scares me to death, and I don't think we've seen the full effect. I think the effect is coming. I think it was probably one of the worst things we did, but.
I tell you, with these new drugs, I ride on the ambulance, and we get an overdose, we got a 50-50 chance to save it.
And you're at risk. And you're at risk.
I know, right. I mean, I've been on this year about 15 of them in this area.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And then parents say, I didn't know they were on it. I didn't know. Well, how in the hell do you not know?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation right there. I mean, because being a parent that's why they call it the hardest job in the world, because it never ends. But parents have to want to be parents. And that's where a lot of the problems in this community start. It starts in the living room. And it's okay to say no. No is not a 4-letter word. So you can tell kids no, it's all right. You can ground them. You can straighten them out if they need it. It's all good. It's all fine.
I always tell them, why do you think that they call dope? Because dopes do it.
Yep.
And really, you would think the younger ones are overdosing. It's the ones 25 to 30 are overdosing more than the teenagers.
Because they're using more, they're expecting it to be the same it was, 10 years ago. And everything's changed. So did that answer the question? I mean, that's my personal professional. I think there was a use for medical, and I would prefer that it just stay medical.
Because you have no way of testing a driver.
Well, that's the whole other part. That cart before horse, no infrastructure. And you, when you drive up and down the road, that's not a skunk that you're smelling most of the time. It's marijuana.
Yeah.
So there are people smoking and driving, and there is no way. I mean, we can still, based on the potency, you can pretty much tell when somebody's under the influence, and we charge quite a few people, but an actual standardized, accepted roadside test does not exist. But there's money in that, so you can believe the research is being done. You'll see it. You'll see it. Sir.
We'll change the subject a little bit to the patrol division. I know everybody needs officers. I have two sons that are officers in Charles County.
Amen. Thank you. You've done a good job.
I live in St. Mary's, and I've got a grandson who is also, he's down at Pax River. And
Okay. One of our biggest competitors, Pax River.
But I don't know how many officers you might have on the street at one time, but like Charles County's got it broken down to like
Districts.
and all. Do you have like districts?
We do.
Out of this station over
We
here?
do. This is District 1. We have District 2, which is Compton and the 7th, that area. 3 is Hollywood and Leonardtown. primarily, and 4 is anything from 235 and 4
Now,
south.
Most of the time when I see a deputy coming up this way with lights and siren, I always see him down toward Loveville Road or Mechanicsville Road flying up the northern part of the county. When Charlotte Hall changes next spring and all these new businesses open up, is there gonna be a breakdown of like a particular area that will be a new district or a new patrol area?
No, the districts, I don't see the need to change the districts now. What I need is the people to fill the positions so that I can staff those districts adequately, that's happening. But once again, the infrastructure, the building, when they're building houses, like the housing development this gentleman mentioned, when they're building houses in Lexington Park, they don't take into consideration EMS services, fire services, school positions, all the need for any additional police services. That's not part of the conversation. And in my opinion, it needs to be. But so they will continue to build and I will continue to trail, but I'll do my best to make sure that all of the vacancies that we have are filled and maintained and retained.
But, the northern part of this county, I've been listening to Scanner since I was 14 years old. Somebody can come in the northern part of the county and rob one of these businesses, and by the time it even gets dispatched, they can be lower Prince George's County, they can almost be across the bridge, and by that time, they're gone now.
One of the dispatch problems that this gentleman's talking about, minutes go by before it's ever dispatched.
Yep.
In some instances, it's as long as 6 or 7 minutes.
Like
That's an eternity. And what you're,
Mutual aid, does Charles County offices run into?
we just had an incident where a person shot and killed someone and ran in a 1080 northbound, made it to Hughesville, and Calvert and Hughes and Charles. We train together, we know one another, we collaborate, and that was a perfect example of law enforcement services in Southern Maryland working together to bring an successful end, in our opinion, up there, right there in
Well, I
Hughesville.
don't have a mutual aid.
Yeah,
I was in the middle of that, because I'm with the Hughesville Fire Department.
there you go.
I went up the road to go buy my lottery tickets up in Hughesville, and they came flying by Lighthouse Liquors, and the guy had his window down like he was just out driving. Maybe they were doing about 80, but there was like 10 police cars behind him. Before I even got to Hughesville, I had to pull over several times. But then I played my lottery numbers at the quick shop in Hughesville. By the time I came back, there were police cars running everywhere because they lost track of where the guy was. And I turned to go to the firehouse, and the road was blocked with about 35 police cars.
Yeah, he went the wrong way in the roundabout there at Hughesville.
Yeah.
So from Leonardtown all the way north, and as I'm listening to that, you know what I've got in my stomach, because I know what's coming. I know where they're going, and they're coming up in this area, and I'm thinking, oh God, please. I mean, I'm praying, I'm rattling the beads, because I'm just thinking, please don't hurt an unwitting person. And I believe in a lot of things, and he went through there, nary a problem. So we got very, very fortunate on that one. But in that instance, we have to chase. This person had to get dealt with. So, yeah, I appreciate, what's your son's last names?
Bagley.
Bagley, okay. Well, you've done a great job.
One's with La Plata, he's been there about 25 years. The other one is Charles County, he's been there about 25 years. So they're talking retirement.
There you go. They've reached the brass ring. Thank you for what you've done.
I listened the other night when y'all had the other chase from Hollywood, and of course I could hear the dispatching on Charles County because Cameron knocked it off.
We're
You could
encrypted,
hear it
yeah.
Down there. But yeah, I was listening to the chase and all the different directions that was going, and you caught 3 of the 4, I think.
Right.
One's still missing.
Yeah, that's the other problem that we've had recently is motor vehicle thefts. And what we're finding is it's children that are doing it. So that's another thing that keeps me up at night, because you're a deputy, you're on patrol at night, you run a tag, comes back stolen, what do? You do what cops do. You turn the lights on and let's go. And what do you think the child does? Floors it. And they got, a couple of 13-year-olds maybe in the back seat. So, and you know, then just let your imagination run wild. Think how nobody wins in that circumstance. Nobody wins. Somebody certainly loses, and you're looking at him. So, because that is happening with much more prominence than we ever wished. Juveniles is a big problem, but that's a whole nother conversation.
One son's on a strictly midnight shift, and you kind of worry about them because it's nighttime, you can't see in some of these cars, and it might take a little while for your other partner to get close
Right.
and all that, but, you know, he's got a 12-hour, doesn't work any weekends, so it's pretty nice, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I couldn't do it.
nighttime, it's scary. The other one's got an office job in La Plata.
There you go.
He's been promoted.
Ma'am?
I want to thank you guys for catching up with those ghost guns last week. Congratulations on that. That is really scary to think that all of that stuff is here in this county. And I just wonder how broad you think that is.
I think that based on what we're seeing as far as the firearms-related violence, the prevalence of guns in the community is very, very concerning. A lot of people that have no business having a gun either have one or have access to one. That person right there, just imagine how many of those were sold, given as gifts or whatever. And you saw how they were made, the colors. So that's the police officer's job, because every gun is assumed to be a real one until proven otherwise. I mean, I've seen hot pink guns that'll poke holes in you just as fast as one that's, steeled or the typical black colored. But so that was, I think the advent of technology has challenged us unlike any other time in police work. And the switches, if you read that article, the switches that they talk about in that, those switches are designed to do one thing. Does anybody know what they are, what that is? It makes a weapon automatic.
Where do they get the ammunition for this?
You can buy it anywhere.
Buy it anywhere?
They buy it anywhere. You can just give an ID and you can buy it. And you don't need many. All you need is one and a decent aim. And we are dealing with people that have guns that are not afraid of any of the consequence. They're not afraid of being shot. They're not afraid of shooting. They're not afraid of jail. And they're not afraid of death. And that, my friends, is a very, very difficult adversary. It's something that these people that are serving you deal with day in and day out, and all over the state. I don't see that going away because the technology is going to continue to increase. They're making them graphite and plastic and things like that, but there will come a day that they'll be able to make them easily with more formidable pieces that will function. Thank you all. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.